Brought to you by Penguin.
The World for Sale. Money, Power, and the Traders Who Barter the Earth's Resources. By Javier Blas and Jack Farchy. Read by John Sackville. Introduction. The Last Swashbucklers. The plane banked hard as it started its descent. Far below, the placid waters of the Mediterranean had given way to a barren expanse of North African desert. Columns of smoke dotted the horizon. Inside the small private jet, the occupants were stony-faced, bracing against their seats as they descended in a series of stomach-churning corkscrew turns. This wasn't a normal business trip, even for Ian Taylor. In 4 decades trading oil, Taylor had set down in plenty of hotspots, from Caracas to Tehran. Yet this journey, destination Benghazi, Libya, in the midst of a civil war, was a new experience. Taylor only had to look out of the window to be reminded of the risks he was running. 1,000 feet below, a lonely NATO drone was chaperoning his plane. Taylor, chief executive of Vitol, the world's largest oil trading company, found himself wishing his contacts in the British government had sent a proper fighter jet to escort him. It was early 2011, and the entire region was in the throes of a wave of popular uprisings that came to be known as the Arab Spring. In Libya, forces revolting against the 42-year dictatorship of Colonel Muammar Gaddafi had just taken control of Benghazi, the most important city in the east of the country, and founded their own government. The ragtag army of rebels had a big problem, however. It was running out of fuel. The rebels urgently needed diesel and gasoline for their military vehicles, and heavy fuel oil to run their power stations. Libya's own refineries had been shuttered by the war, leaving only a trickle of fuel entering the country via hundreds of trucks, making the arduous trip from Egypt. If anyone could take the risk of supplying a rebel army in the middle of a bloody war, it was Ian Taylor. Bald, wiry, and tireless, Taylor had transformed Vitol from a mid-sized fuel distributor into an oil-trading giant. In the process, he had made it a potent force in the global economy, handling enough oil every day to supply Germany, France, Spain, the UK, and Italy combined. Now in his mid-50s, he combined the easy charm of a member of the British establishment with the taste for adventure that was a prerequisite for an oil trader. He had never been afraid to lead Vitol to places where others feared to tread, and, in a world where oil and money go hand in hand with power, he was not one to shy away from deals that carried wider geopolitical significance. When, a few weeks earlier, the possibility of a deal with the Libyan rebels had come up, Taylor hadn't hesitated. Vitol's team in the Middle East had received a call from the government of Qatar. The small, gas-rich Gulf state had become a key political and financial backer of the Libyan rebels, acting as a go-between for them with Western governments and supplying them with weapons and cash. But buying tankers full of refined oil products and delivering them into a war zone was beyond Qatar's capability. It needed the help of a commodity trader. The Qataris wanted to know if Vitol could supply diesel, gasoline, and fuel oil to Benghazi. Vitol had 4 hours to think about it and respond. The trading house only needed 4 minutes to say yes. But there was a big catch. The rebels had no cash. Instead, Vitol would have to take payment in the form of crude oil from the few oil fields that the rebels controlled. In theory, that shouldn't have posed a problem. Vitol could deliver fuel across the Mediterranean to the port of Benghazi, while receiving crude oil via a pipeline to the coastal city of Tobruk, near the Egyptian border and far away from the fighting. Taylor and the rest of Vitol's top brass quickly put together a proposal. It was nothing new for a big trading house like Vitol to barter one commodity for another, particularly when facing a cash.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?